Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. This is Comfortably Zoned Radio, and it's time for Dodgers baseball, a tale of two cities, from Brooklyn to Los Angeles. I'm your host, Peter Trunk, and my co-host is Ron Rabinovitz. Ron, how are you tonight?
Good, Peter. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. A little wet because it's raining here in Jersey, but other than that, everything is okay. We're going to do a show tonight. We're going to split it up into thirds. We're going to start off with, we'll talk a little bit about Roy Campanella. Then we're going to, I have to play one of my favorite songs again. I got good feedback on the Phil Foster song of Let's Keep the Dodgers in Brooklyn. I want to play that after we discuss Campanella. And then I want to talk a little bit about the most famous bat boy in Major League history, and that's Charlie the Brow DiGiovanna. And then we'll close the show out with a little Don Newcomb. How's that sound?
Sounds good. Sounds good to me.
Okay, so why don't you start us off with a little bit of Roy Campanella, if you would.
Okay, Peter. Well, Campy was quite a guy. He was probably one of the greatest catchers I ever saw play. He was, as most catchers are, he's like the general on the team. He's the quarterback. He kind of moves the position, the players in position, whatever. And he was just remarkable. He started in the Negro Leagues at 15. Just imagine that. He was 15 years old. And then he went to he was playing for the Washington and then the Baltimore Elite Giants. And then he was in the Mexican League in 1942 and 43. And in 1946, he played for the Dodgers in their minor league system. And he was just remarkable. Campy was a tremendous ball player, not only as a catcher, but as a hitter. He also was an MVP 3 times in his career, 1951, 53, and 55. Amazing, just amazing. And, he was like a psychologist, because when you're working with the pitchers, for instance, with Newcomb would get a little lazy on the mound, and he'd go out there and kick his butt, get him mad. And if he got him mad, then he would pitch better. And other people, you would just pat him on the back and, good going, or encourage him. It was amazing. So each pitcher, each player was different. And Campy knew how to handle all of them. He was just tremendous. Unfortunately, his career was cut short by a terrible accident in 1959, I believe, or 56.
58.
58. That's right. And he was a paraplegic, and he had a terrible car accident. And yet that didn't stop him, because he continued after he recovered, or as best he could. He was wheelchair bound, but he would come to spring training. And at Vero Beach, he had what was called Campy's Corner. And all of the young kids would come there and talk to him. And he would give them advice and how to catch and how to do different things. And he was really a nucleus for the team, not only during his playing days, but also after he retired, or after he was injured. He played in the All-Star games from 1949 through 1956. Imagine all those years. Tremendous athlete. And I loved him. He could throw a guy out at second base without getting up in a squat position. He had an arm like a rifle. And boy, could he hit. It was amazing. He was quite a guy.
Yeah, when he won his 3rd Most Valuable Player award in 1955, there was a little bit of a to-do about that award, in that there was a sports writer, from Philadelphia,
Mm-hmm.
who voted for Campanella for first place, and thought he had voted for Duke Snider for fifth place, but actually put Campanella's name again in the fifth position. Now, if you're familiar with the way they vote for Hall of Fame, there's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, et cetera, like that, and their position is worth a certain amount of points, and whoever gets the most points wins the most valuable player award. And this writer, sports writer in Philadelphia, put Campy in number 1 and put Campy in for number 5, and so they didn't know what to do. Now, if it was in fact Duke Snider in the fifth position, that would have given Duke the higher amount of total points, and Edwin Donald Snyder would have been your 1955 National League Most Valuable Player. But in fact, what they did was they just left that fifth position blank instead of counting Campanella twice. They left that blank, and as in doing so, Campanella eked out the award from Snyder by a very, very slight margin in 1955. But that's not to take anything away from Roy Campanella, because he certainly was. He was the best catcher I ever saw. And
I think so too. I think he was fabulous. He was the best I ever saw.
I've seen some other catchers that were incredible also. Just to mention Yogi Berra and Johnny Bench and people like that, and Mike Piazza and stuff. But there was just something about the combination of Campanella, all the things that he could do, and all the things that he did do. Not only could do, but did do. And I think that he would probably get my vote as the top catcher that I ever saw in my life.
Me too.
I'm not old enough to. I never saw Bill Dickey or anything like that, so I don't know. But Campy was certainly super.
And he was loved by everybody. He was loved by everybody.
Yeah, he was. He
really was.
Self-effacing.
He was so funny.
He was a funny guy. He was a funny guy, and he kept the pitchers on their toes. I'll tell you that. And,
that's for sure. That's for sure. I'll tell you one interesting note there too. In 1946, he was with Nashua in the New England League, and Walter Alston was the manager. And Walter Alston was ejected in this particular game, and he asked Campy to manage the team on that game. So Campy was the first African American to manage a player in the professional baseball team. Can you imagine?
Huh.
It's amazing.
How do you like that? How do you like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Campanella, Walter Alston could have left anybody in charge that he wanted.
Sure.
And he left Campanella in charge, so that shows you something right there.
They were down by 3 runs.
Days, boy.
And Campy asked Newcomb to pinch hit, and he hit a home run, a 2-run homer.
I remember that. I remember that story now. Yes, he did.
Yeah,
he pinch hit Newcomb, and Newcomb hit a homer. Yeah. I remember that.
Unbelievable.
I remember that.
Yeah.
The Nashua Dodgers, right? 1946. That's funny.
Right.
That's a good
funny?
story. That's a very good story.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I want to talk a little bit about probably the most famous bat boy in the history of baseball. But before I do, I want to do something that I did a couple of shows ago that got great feedback from our listeners, and it's Phil Foster singing "Let's Keep the Dodgers in Brooklyn" from 1957. So here we go.
About what's happening in Brooklyn. Who really got the blues about what's happening in Brooklyn? It ain't official yet. We hope official it don't get. But beware, my friend, and let me warn you. That thing is taking a fun to California. Let's keep the Dodgers in Brooklyn. Our house is not a home without some love. Don't let them leave our premises, so they will be their nemesis. But Brooklyn fits the Dodgers like a glove. if you take away the Dodgers, guys like Campy, Newk, and Hodges, we ain't your pal no more the way we've been. Let's keep the Dodgers in Brooklyn. The house is not a home without some love. Don't let them leave our premises. They would be their nemesis, but Brooklyn fits the Dodgers like a glove. We offer our bridges. You can take them with you. We have a couple we could spare, but we all feel so glum without the Duke and Gilliam. We need one left to jump off in despair. Really, what would Brooklyn be without the Dodgers? Well, Brooklyn would be like a pair of socks that's holy without Jackson and Samoli. Like a bed without a pillar, without Christian and Farilla. Like a ship without a harbor, without Padres and the barber. Like the sun without its shine, without Zimmer and Levine. Like a bird without a bee, without Olsen and Dewey. And here I am a poet, and I didn't even know it. So send the Bills to Trenton, the Giants to St. Paul. But keep the bums in Brooklyn, the greatest ball of all. So let's keep the Dodgers in Brooklyn. You heard our plea at last, we had our say. Your mind is in the box if you take us to the spot. Keep the Dodgers in Brooklyn, USA. We really love them. Keep the Dodgers in Brooklyn. We want to mind your own business and stay home. Don't leave town.
And that was Phil Foster singing "Let's Keep the Dodgers in Brooklyn."
Great song. Great song.
Wasn't that a good song? Very funny. Great lyrics. Really good.
I don't know if I ever heard that.
Play that, Pete. Oh, sure. When I was a little kid, they used to play it on the radio. In 1957, 56 and 57, they played that on the radio. My mother used to listen to William B. Williams on the radio, and they used to play that song. Yeah, "Let's Keep the Dodgers in Brooklyn." I used to sing it in the schoolyard. I never really thought that they would ever move, but what the hell did I know?
No.
I was just a little kid. I thought it was all a big bluff. In fact,
I thought so too.
Ed Roebuck was interviewed in 2005, and he said when he was out in Los Angeles buying his house in the early months of 1958, he still didn't believe that the Dodgers were moving to Los Angeles.
Right.
He still told his wife, "This is a ruse. This is all an act."
Sure, they couldn't believe the whole thing. Yeah.
He was already out. He was physically out in Los Angeles buying a house.
That something?
Ed Roebuck was.
And he still didn't think that it was going to happen.
He still didn't think. He told his wife, "This guy's bluffing. He just wants to get his new stadium in Brooklyn." And, wow, it was just incredible. So I don't feel bad thinking as an 11-year-old, I thought that it was a ruse also. I thought that they were staying.
Sure.
So if a ball player on the club believed it at that late date, I had good company. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about Charlie the Brow DiGiovanna, perhaps the most famous bat boy of all time. He came to the Dodgers organization as a favor to his Uncle Pete. His Uncle Pete was a Brooklyn politician, and the Dodgers were friendly with politicians, of course, and the front office was in the 1940s. Sure. And his Uncle Pete got him a job, and they said, "Well, what can he do?" "Well, not too much. He's only a young kid." So he started as a clubhouse boy, a gopher. He'd go for the coffee. He'd go for whatever, the newspapers. Then he was a turnstile checker. Then he was an aide in the dressing room, and he rose to the rank of visiting team bat boy. And that was the big thrill for him. He was the visiting, and whatever team came in, he was their bat boy in the visiting dugout. And years later, in 1952, Charlie moved over to the home team dugout, which was vacated by veteran bat boy Stan Stroll, Strull. A lot of real old-timers remember Stan Stroll. He was the bat boy before Charlie was. And Charlie would mop the floors, do the laundry, he'd sort the mail. And in 1957, Charlie was upgraded to the assistant to the clubhouse man. Now, the clubhouse man was Senator John Griffin. We called him Senator John Griffin because he wore a top hat.
Right.
He was that big, heavy-set guy, also known as the senator. But before he was upgraded, Charlie was still a bat boy, and one of his jobs was the biggest job he probably had with the Dodgers, and that was signing baseballs. He was the great forger. He could sign all the Dodgers' names perfectly. He signed the Dodgers' names so well that no one even knew until after he was dead and buried, years and years and years and years later, that he had done it. No one even knew it while he was alive all those years. Duke Snyder is said to have said, he signed my name better than I could. meaning Charlie could sign Duke Snyder better than the Duke could. And when the Dodgers relocated to Chavez Ravine in L.A., O'Malley actually bought a house for him, Charlie, and his wife.
Really?
Charlie was not a boy. He was a bat boy, but he was not a boy. He was a man.
He was
a grown man, 22 years old. Right. He had 3 children. He had a wife and 3 children. And O'Malley, when he relocated to Dodgers, bought the DiGiovanna's a house. And he tragically died, Charlie did, at age 30, December the 28th, 1958, 30 years old. Chain-smoking Charlie, they called him. He left a legacy to the baseball hobby as a result of one of his duties, and that was the laborious task of signing hundreds and hundreds of team baseballs.
Unbelievable.
A task.
What did he die from at that age?
He had rheumatic fever as a kid. He had a very, very weak heart. He died of a heart attack.
Oh, my. Oh, that's sad.
So he mastered this task of signing the Dodgers baseballs, and people would say, well, we need 6 dozen baseballs a week. Well, not the Dodgers. That would be like the Pittsburgh Pirates or the Chicago Cubs. The Brooklyn Dodgers front office said they expected 3 dozen signed baseballs before every game.
No kidding.
Before every game. Yep. So unlike that's a lot of signing. So unlike the typical adolescent bat boy of his era, Charlie was a mature guy, and he possessed a talent in handwriting which would very closely mimic the styles of the team. When the Dodgers moved to L.A., Charlie and his wife and kids started driving from Brooklyn to Los Angeles. Now, this was before spring training was to start at Vero Beach. O'Malley wanted everybody out in L.A. This was in the winter of 58, the beginning, before, this was before spring training. So Charlie starts driving out there, and he meets up with the Roebucks, Ed Roebuck, and his family. They drive the rest of the way together. They stop in New Mexico to see the sights, and they see, Charlie had a pet dog in the car. I forget his name. I should remember that, but I can't remember it. But as they were driving out there, they stopped at the Grand Canyon to take pictures, and Charlie's dog swallows a dog toy, like a little ball or whatever. And he's choking to death. So Roebuck and Charlie bring him in the car. They bring him to an emergency. They bring him to a veterinarian. And the veterinarian gets the ball out. I don't know how the veterinarian got the ball out. He charges them, listen to this, he charges them $200. This is 1958.
That was a lot of money in those days.
A lot of money in 1958, $200. So anyway, they paid him because he saved the dog's life. They finally get to L.A., and Harold Parrott is waiting. He's the guy, he's in charge of all that.
Traveling secretary.
In L.A., right? Exactly. Traveling secretary. And he says, where the hell have you been? We need you. And Charlie looks at him, he goes, why do you need a bat boy in January? He says, we're doing our 1958 yearbook. Now, if you've ever seen the Dodgers 1958 yearbook, it's basically around the borders, it's red, and 95% of the middle is a gigantic baseball with all the Dodgers signatures on it. They needed Charlie out there to sign all the signatures on the ball, on the fake ball, the picture of the ball on the 1958 yearbook. Now, when this show is over, do yourself a favor and go and look on eBay or wherever, 1958 Dodgers yearbook, and you'll see what I'm talking about. He signed everybody's name. Okay? That was his, that was his job to go out there.
One of his jobs. Unbelievable.
Yes, one of his jobs, but probably his most important job. He often signed Dodgers names in sequence to avoid possible duplication. So if you ever look at, let's say you're on eBay and you see a ball, 1955 Dodger ball, and it's selling for like $5,000. Okay?
Sure.
And if you blow it up and you look at it, now a National League ball back in the day was made by Spalding. Now underneath the Spalding logo, if you saw Jackie Robinson, Roy Campanella, and Carl Erskine in that order, Robinson, Campanella, and Erskine, the first three underneath the Spalding logo, that was a forgery. That was a Charlie DiGiovanna.
Charlie.
Right. He used to sign them in order so he wouldn't make mistakes and forget to put anybody's name on there. And he wouldn't put somebody's name on there twice or thrice, you know, and leave somebody else out. So he had a method to his madness. These balls, by the way, these balls are still very, very much sought after and go for big, big bucks.
I'll bet they do.
Because you can't really prove that he did it. It's no proof. And even if you could, it was so many years ago and they're so iconic and everything, they still sell for big bucks. Often when a new player joined the team, Charlie wouldn't know how he signed his name. So what he would do, he would practically print this guy's name somewhere where you wouldn't really see it on the ball, and with subtle breaks between the letters. Examples of this can be seen on signatures of people like Dixie Howell, Rocky Bridges, Roger Craig, and the aforementioned Ed Roebuck. If you look at their signatures, they'll be like glorified printed signatures. Anyway, the brow, he was called the brow because that unibrow, his one eyebrow went right across. He was as popular as Hilda Chester. He was as popular in Brooklyn as the Symphony Band. He was as popular in Brooklyn as Happy Felton. During the parade, the 1955 parade, he had his own convertible. Charlie DiGiovanna had his own convertible with his name on the side of it, which they misspelled, by the way.
Did they really?
They misspelled his letter. Yes, they did. But who the heck would have thunk that a bat boy would have his own car in a parade?
His own car. Can you imagine?
He was crazy.
You know how
it was just
how the signatures, each ball player had a different signature, and then to be able to forge these signatures, it was amazing. He had to be very talented.
Word has it that he could also sign Walter O'Malley's signature perfectly.
No kidding.
So I'll let you stew on that one for a minute or two. I don't know where that will lead your mind. I don't know what you think of what he could have done with that ability, but they say he could sign O'Malley's name perfectly. So that's the story of one of the stories. Anyway, there's always 10 stories about every Dodger. Anybody has to do with the Dodgers. There's 10, 12, 15 stories. That's a little story about Charlie the Brow I thought I would bring up. And now I'm going to send it back over to you.
Did he travel with the team, too? Did he travel with the team?
He did not, no. He did not travel with the team until 1957. Then he traveled with the team. The reason for that is because he was the bat boy from 52 to 56. In 57, he became the assistant clubhouse manager. So, yes, he traveled in 57 and then went out there and traveled with them in 58 and then died after the 58 season 3 days after Christmas, 28th of December, 1958.
So young.
Yeah. Yes, very young.
Unbelievable. That's so sad. 30 years old. It's way too young.
Yeah. It's a shame. But that's the story of Charlie the Brow. Now we can move on to, you want to talk about Don Newcomb.
Sure. The Newk. He was some
I'll send it
pitcher.
back to you then. Go ahead.
Okay. Don Newcomb was a tremendous pitcher. He was an amazing guy. He could throw fire. And he was in All-Star games in 1949, 50, 51, and 55. Now in 55, he had a heck of a record of 20 wins and 5 losses. And in 56, he had an even better record of 27 and 7. Now he started with the Dodgers in 49. And then in 52 and 53, he was in the military. And then he came back, and he wasn't, the first year, 54, was not so good. But as you can see, 55 was 20 and 5. In 1956, he was 27 and 7. In 1956, he won the MVP, the Cy Young, and the Rookie of the Year. In 1949, he was the Rookie of the Year.
Right.
Amazing. He was just a tremendous, tremendous pitcher. He played for 10 years. In that career, he had a record of 149 wins and 90 losses. He had 136 complete games, which you don't hardly ever see anymore. And
Never.
24 shutouts. 24 shutouts.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. And he was a heck of a hitter. In one particular year, he hit 7 home runs in one season. He ended up as the 9th best pitcher in hitting. He was batted .271, which is tremendous.
Right.
He was something. The Newk was great. And he's still with the
Dodgers.
Dodgers.
Yes, he is. The year that Newcomb won 20 and lost 5, 1955, that was the year he hit 7 home runs. He also batted .359.
That year.
How's that for an average for a pitcher?
Unbelievable.
Batted .359. He had,
Unbelievable.
he just said he had 149 victories in 10 years.
Yeah, imagine.
Chew on this for a minute. Sandy Koufax had 160 victories in 12 seasons.
In 12 seasons, right. Amazing. And complete games on
Newcomb had
complete games.
Right. Newcomb had 149 wins in 10 seasons, and Koufax had 160, 11 more, in 2 more seasons, 12.
Right.
That's
amazing.
Astonishing. That's astonishing.
It is astonishing. It truly is. He was quite a guy, and he still is. He still works for the Dodgers. He's in public relations. Wonderful, wonderful guy. I've met him several times out there.
I met him also.
I've shown him all my Jackie stuff, and he loved it. And he's quite a guy. He's an amazing man. Not only that, but I mean, he had a chemical dependency on alcohol, and he cleaned himself up, and he worked with a lot of the other players and a lot of kids and everything else. He's just a tremendous human being. I think he's over 90 now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he is. He's over 90. He's over 90.
He's had some health issues, but he's
pretty
still
good
going
shape.
through.
Yeah, he's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Pretty good shape. There's a person on Facebook that I'm friends with who went out to visit him a couple of months ago and got a bunch of stuff signed. A friend of
I know who is it.
A friend of Carl Erskine, Jim Denny.
Yes, right. Oh, it's Jim Denny. I know Jim. We're friends too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When I was a little boy,
amazing.
when I was a young kid, maybe 10, I don't know. Yeah, I'll say about 10, 9 or 10. My father said, "Get in the car. We're going for a ride." So I get in the car. I was a gigantic Dodger fan. I never went anywhere without my Brooklyn Dodger hat and after the whole deal. It was crazy. He says, "Get in the car. We're going for a little ride." So we get in the car. I get in the car, and we go for a little ride, and we come upon, we're in this neighborhood, and I'm going, "What are we doing, Dad? Why are we here? What are we doing?" He goes, "Okay, I'm going to stop the car." He says, "Now look in that store on the corner and wave to the man behind the counter." I look in, and I wave, and the guy who's waving to me, it's Don Newcomb. my father took me to his liquor store.
No
My
kidding.
father took me
He had a
to his
liquor
liquor
store.
store. He didn't
Campbell
tell me.
had a liquor
He
store
didn't
too.
tell me anything about it, Ron. He
Yeah.
didn't give me any hints. He didn't give me anything at all. He just drove me there and he said,
You
"Wave
must
to
have
the
been
man
so
behind
thrilled.
the counter." And I waved
like
to the guy
that.
behind the counter, and I realized immediately it was Don Newcomb. He's smiling
Don
and
Newcomb.
waving, and I'm smiling and waving and everything. It was great. It was tremendous.
Oh my! I'll bet it was.
Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why we didn't get out of the car and go inside and talk to him, because I don't know why we didn't, but we didn't. But that's the memory.
Campy had a liquor store too.
Yes, he did.
Campy had a liquor
That was
store.
in Harlem. Yeah.
Yes, right.
Yeah. The next time I met Don Newcomb there was a weekend in New Jersey here where I lived. There was a week called a Dodgers weekend, and it was brought to you by the Hilton Hotel or something in up by Giant Stadium in North Jersey.
Okay.
And
sure.
Saturday it was the Brooklyn Dodgers, and Sunday it was the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I, of course, went both days. There was a card show, and all the memorabilia show and all that.
Sure.
And I met everybody there. I talked with everybody, met everybody, talked with everybody. I mean, you name the Dodger that was alive back then, and I met him and talked to him. It was great.
Isn't that exciting?
It is.
So
it's
exciting.
Absolutely fantastic. It really is. Very, very nice.
That is fabulous.
Good
it
memories.
really is.
Real good memories.
Yeah.
Very good memories.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
yep.
That's great. They,
so
Jackie and Newcomb and Roy Campanella and Joe Black.
Yep.
They, in St. Louis, they weren't allowed to stay with their team. So the four of them went to the general manager at the hotel, at the Chase Hotel in St. Louis, and said, "Why can't we stay with our team?" The general manager said, "Okay, I'll make a deal with you. You can stay with your team if you promise not to use our swimming pool." I mean, it's so stupid. Just so ignorant. Yeah.
I know.
Crazy.
Horrible.
And
horrible stuff that they went through, I tell you, man.
It really was.
Crazy stuff.
What they went through.
Crazy stuff. Yeah, there were stories about, the Dodgers would stop to eat, and the black guys, Black and Campy and Newk and Jackie, they would have to stay on the bus, and the guys would bring sandwiches out there.
Sandwiches out there,
for them to eat on the bus, and one or two times, I don't know who got fed up. I guess it was Jackie. He said, "This is bullshit." He says, "I'm not putting up with this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. We're not going to stop where they don't serve all of us." And so that changed too.
Right.
And the same thing with the gasoline in the bus.
Yeah.
The gasoline in the bus.
When he pulled the tank out,
not going to serve you because you're black. He says, "Guess what? You won't let me use the men's room because I'm a black man?
Yeah.
We're not taking your gas." And that's hundreds of gallons, 100-gallon.
It was hundreds of gallons. Sure it was.
Right. Right. He says, "Oh, no, wait a minute. I'm sorry.
You can go ahead.
Just be fast. Be quick. Go ahead. You can use it. Just be quick." These people, they make me laugh, these people.
So
unbelievable.
Of
course.
They really went through everything, It was amazing. Just amazing.
But our Dodgers, they were unbelievable. Those Dodger teams.
They were the best.
I'll tell you, man. And thank God there was no free agency back then because they didn't break our team up. We had those guys all those years. We had the core.
All those years.
Campy and Campy and Hodges and Jackie and Pee Wee and Carl and Duke. We had that nice nucleus every single spring. You could, as a little kid, you could always count on it. There it is.
It was better.
There they are. It was great.
It was better that way.
It was great.
And you know what?
Well, it was better for us.
Well together. Sure.
You know what? It was better. It was better for us as fans, but it was not better for them because they didn't make what they could have made.
No, they didn't.
I mean, if you live in a democracy and it's a capitalist system, why can't you go out and if this guy wants to pay you twice as much as what Walter O'Malley wants to pay you, why can't you go and make that money for your family and make double the amount? So,
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
But when you say it was good the old way, it was good the old way for us as kids
For
and
us,
fans.
for kids.
You know,
But it wasn't good for them.
Certainly not for them. Certainly not for them. And it took all the way to Kurt Flood. It took all the way up to Kurt Flood to change that. And that's right. That's another show. That's another show.
Yeah.
For another time.
We'll have to talk about that sometime. That was very interesting.
Yeah, we sure do.
It's
we sure do.
Quite a story.
Yeah.
He was
it is.
quite a brave guy. And he ended up, you know, he was all alone. And Jackie was the only one that came to support him. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Amazing. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, this has been fun. And, you know, every time I talk about the Dodgers, I love it. And I'm so jealous that you were out there. You know, I was in Sheboygan, you know. The closest thing I got to the Dodgers was when they came to Milwaukee to play the Braves.
Oh.
But,
I listened to them every night and saw them on TV every night and went to see them. And it was phenomenal. It was just tremendous. Oh. Just, you know, great memories. You can't forget anything. If you love something that much, it's very difficult to forget. And thank God
Absolutely.
I haven't forgotten.
Absolutely.
I remember, I can tell you what numbers they wore, and it was just tremendous. It's just a tremendous thing to talk to somebody. Every time I walk through through a mall or through a convenience store or a ShopRite, a food store here in Jersey, if I'm wearing my Brooklyn cap or something, another old timer will come up to me and say, "Hey, how about that Carl Perillo?" And we'll start talking and laughing and
isn't that great? Man. Yeah, it was unbelievable. They were like America's team. They really were.
Sure, no doubt about it.
They were like America's team, no question about it.
No doubt about it.
And when they came to LA, Pete, I used to listen to the Dodger games on the radio. Okay. Because they started late at night, and most of these radio stations were clear channel stations. I could get KDK in Pittsburgh, I could get KMOX in St. Louis, I could get WGN in Chicago, and I listened to all the Dodger games. Now I would
late at night you could get them
Yeah, but I get to school in the morning. I was tired as hell, you know, because I the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they started at 9:30, you know. So my time. So and then every once in a while, do you remember how the radio would sometimes fade? You know?
Oh, sure.
And you'd hear, and Duke Snyder just hit a long drive and it
right, it would fade away, right?
And you
and
then you think, what happened? You know?
Yeah. You can't explain that to young people now. They have no idea.
No.
Because they think that the
time.
Internet's always been here, and that you can just go on ESPN and watch the game pitch by pitch. And it wasn't like that. It
sure wasn't. Yeah.
Okay, Ron.
Amazing. I used to have I had a scorebook, and I had my baseball cards, and I had fun. It was great. Pete, this has been fun. I really enjoyed it.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. We'll meet back here again next week. Do another show on those bums.
Sounds good.
Next time maybe we'll add a little LA into it. Because it is a tale. It is a tale of two cities. It is a tale of two cities. So we shouldn't leave LA out completely. So we can add a little LA next time. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Okay, great.
That sounds great.
All right, Ron.
All right, Pete.
Have a good night.
Take care, buddy. Okay, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.